Hey everybody, how's it going? So I think that a lot of people don't understand what it means to be a real business, and this could not be noted better than it was in this article that was written about 11 years ago. It is an article about some independent repair shops that are providing services that Apple weren't at the time. Once upon a time, Apple did not offer screen or battery replacements on your iPhone. You just were told to just replace the entire phone, and many of Apple's services, admittedly, since then for laptops have been, how do I put this? Less than competitive, I'll say. And you can watch some of the CBC News pieces on my channel or Wall Street Journal piece to get an idea of that. I'll leave links down below. So in this one article, they're referring to a store called TechServe. TechServe was an Apple authorized service provider in Chelsea on 23rd Street and 6th Avenue, a very posh, fancy schmancy, expensive part of the city where real estate is very, very expensive because it's at one of the major intersections and right by all the trains. And they were one of those places where every time you go in there, regardless of what your problem is, you're probably getting a bill of $600 plus. If you go in there with an A1181 MacBook with a bad inverter board, doesn't matter, it's a $500 computer, they're going to say $600. They would give almost everybody just the standard $500 or $700 regardless of what was wrong with the computer. Very similar to an actual Apple store. So what I did before I had a name for my business or any idea what I was going to call myself, I got these business cards printed that said way less than techserve.com, and I just got a notification today that my domain name was expiring and I had to choose whether or not to renew it. I have not put this domain name on a business card in at least 10 years because I wound up naming my company Rossmann Repair Group, and I just haven't used that particular particular line. But way less than techserve.com was my domain name. It was supposed to be easy to describe, easy to say, easy to remember, rather than having to remember my name, because everybody knows who TechServe is, and way less than TechServe. Essentially, my domain name would be advertising what you needed to know. I do what they do, I just cost way less. And there was this one article in the New York Times, and they had responded to the fact that other repair centers were offering services that they don't, and they were also offering other services they did offer for cheaper. And someone from TechServe said, "We've been around for 23 years, said Jasmine Hupp, a spokeswoman for the company. We're not a college kid who set up shop to do it this weekend, and we won't be around in 90 days after the guarantee is up." One thing you'll note there is she's not pointing to the fact that they offer more services than the independent repair shop. They're not saying they do the services faster than the independent repair shop. They're not saying that they are more competitive in price than the independent repair shop. They're not saying that they have better ratings to their customers to the independent repair shop. Because none of those things are true. The only thing they're pointing to is that we've been here. We're not a college kid who just set up shop this weekend, as if someone in college who's starting a business for themselves is something to be ashamed of. What I find particularly interesting is that a lot of the college kids that just set up this weekend to do with business had better Google and Yelp reviews than they did. And the reason they had that is because they were offering services to customers that TechServe wasn't. I don't think you're a real business just because you have an authorization on your wall, just because you've been around for 20 years. If anything, being around for 23 years can be a detriment because that could mean that you're simply, just coasting on your reputation that you had. You're, just riding on your laurels and hoping that nobody ever really asks whether or not you're still offering the types of services today and the quality of service that made you competitive 20 years ago. And this is very evident because a few years later, they closed. So over here you can see TechServe, precursor to Apple Store, to close after 29 years, and yet repair shops like mine, like Sonny's, like many others are still here. Why? Because we actually understood what makes a real business. And this is something I discussed in this video that I did 8 years ago, that I would suggest anybody who's looking to start a business or branch out on their own watch before they get started. This video is titled, "Are You a Real Business?" and it is about 8.5 years old. A real business is not a real business because it pays its taxes, although you most certainly should do that. It is not a real business because it has a license. It is not a real business because it is authorized by the manufacturer. It is not a real business because it has paid employees. It is not a real business because it has a location in a fancy schmancy area that requires a lot of rent, or even a real business because it has a particular location at all. What makes a business is that the owner of that business treats it like a real business. That the owner of that business treats that business as if it is his livelihood. That is going to be lost and not allow him to make a salary anymore the moment he forgets why he is in business. He is not in business because he is licensed, because he pays his taxes, because he pays for his insurance, because he has a fancy store, because he has 20 employees, or any of this stuff. He is a real business because he or she treats the business as if it's real. They care about the service they offer their customer. They care about satisfying their customer by offering that customer something that they are not able to get elsewhere at a competitive price. They make sure that the customer is happy with the service that they offer. That's what makes a business a real business. That's it. None of this crap of, we've been around for 23 years. We're not just like that college person over there that just started trying to offer value to their customer. We've been around 23 years. We don't have to offer value to our customer. We don't have to, because we have a name, and we were on Sex and the City 10 or 15 years ago. So, I mean, okay, sure. We tell you it's $300 or $400 when your phone is a cracked screen, and the price of that phone on the used market is $200. So what? We're on Sex and the City. It's, in my opinion, a horrible viewpoint. If they wanted to say we have better ratings, sure. But they couldn't say that because their ratings were worse than every repair shop that was referenced in that article at that point in time. For me, being a real business has always been about being able to offer my customer something that they're not getting offered somewhere else in an economically viable way that makes them happy. I'll often hear that, Louis, you expect everybody to become a business owner. Not everybody can own a business. I don't expect everybody to become a business owner, but what I really think is important there is that there are so many people that actually believe that owning a business means renting an expensive store, hiring a bunch of employees, getting them uniforms and everything, and that's not it. I think that people are losing the plot if they think that's what a real business is. If in your neighborhood people need their snow shoveled, and you go door to door with your shovel saying, I'll shovel your walkway, driveway, and sidewalk for $5, and all you have is a cheap Kmart shovel, and you offer a service to customers that they are happy with, and they're happy with what you do, and they pay you at the end of it, I consider that a real business. I consider it a real business. So long as you are offering something of value to people that they need, they are happy with what you offer, and you treat it as if it's real. A business is not real because they have a fancy logo, fancy branding, been on Sex and the City, and all that other crap. A business is real if they tell someone, oh yeah, it'll cost $75 to fix your no backlight on that A1181 because of the inverter board. I don't care if they have a reputation on Sex and the City. I don't care if they have a fancy sign. I don't care if they have 100 employees. I don't care if they have a $100,000 a month retail location. What I care about is that place going to tell that customer that has a $500 laptop that it's going to cost $600 to fix it after making them wait in line for half an hour. What makes a real business is a business that believes and treats it as if it is a real business. And you treat your business as if it is a real business when you care about satisfying your customers, you care about offering them something in an economically viable fashion, and you don't rely or rest on your laurels to be able to get by. You don't just rest on a reputation that you had from a time when you actually were economically viable or competitive. So if you are starting a business because you lost your job or because you lost whatever position you had as a result of what's gone on over the past year and a half, and you're depressed and you're thinking to yourself, I'll never be a, quote, real business, I would highly suggest that you watch this video that I did 8.5 years ago about what a real business actually is. And at the end of the day, worldwide, it's crazy to think of it now, and I wouldn't have even ever thought this would have happened at the time that I made this video. It's very likely that more people know what a Rossmann repair group is than people that know what a tech service. And I think the reason for that is at the end of the day, I focused on providing services and solutions to my customers that mattered to them. I focused on providing content on YouTube that mattered to the repair shops that viewed it and used it to make money by fixing devices that they otherwise would have thrown away. You are not just a real business because whether or not you're a real business is not based on whether somebody who works at a not economically viable place that's resting on their laurels makes a snarky comment about you in the New York Times. You're a real business if you treat it like a real business. And as long as you treat it like a real business, I don't care if you don't have a store. I don't care if you have $50 in your bank account. I don't care if you have credit card debt. I don't care if you don't have a bunch of employees. Do you treat it like it's real? Do you treat your customers like they matter? If you do, you're a real business by me. That's it for today. And as always, I hope you learned something. And I'm going to make sure that waylesstantechserve.com is renewed for yet another year. See you in the next one.